a new comment came in, this came by email, about stress caused by a child with ADHD and what to do about that. And this is a tough one, but basically, you know, if you've got a child or someone in your life who's suffering from some kind of a ADHD is not a mental illness, but any kind of neurotransmitter defect that's not letting you focus, not letting you be happy, not depression, bipolar, dopamine dysfunction like ADHD or addictive disorders and things like that, it's constantly running in the back of your mind. And I was having this discussion with Rebecca's sister the other day. If you've got something stressing you, always, like for instance, she has stress about the fact that we finally had to put him on medication. And since we did, it's made our home life easier and nicer. And they battled for 4 years before they did that. And, you know, but still knowing that that's not the answer. And that's tough to live with. That's going to always run like a program, that's a big program running in the back of your computer that kind of slows all the other processes down. You had that experience before when you got too many programs running and all of a sudden now your computer starts to run slower because you got too many things open, okay? That's kind of how your brain works. If you've got too many things running in the background, what you're focusing on at that moment cannot function effectively. So, some ideas about ADHD, okay? Some ideas about ADHD. First of all, dopamine is the main neurotransmitter here because whenever they give the Ritalin or the Adderall or things like that, that's a dopamine analog. Basically, it keeps more dopamine and any catecholamines in general floating around in the synaptic cleft in your brain and in your body, so there's more dopamine to help you focus and concentrate and stay on task and be able to tag, you know, basically dopamine is what gives life its meaning. It gives meaning to events. And that's how we learn. That's how we focus. That's how we put things into our brain, is that you tag it with an emotion of some kind. Like you say, man, I got that one. That felt good. And boom. Or if you can visualize something and feel it, you remember it. And that's why it helps with learning. Dopamine is so powerful in learning. A few things about dopamine is, the first thing is you got to check for iron deficiency. That's a real easy test. Have your doctor do an iron panel and a ferritin level. Ferritin is a protein that gives us the storage, gives you an idea about the iron stores in your body. So an iron panel, which has the percent saturation, iron percent saturation, transferrin saturation as it's called, and a ferritin level will give you an idea of where if your iron is low, then you treat it. You know, if it's around 40, that's fine. 20 or below, you're getting into that place where, well, maybe I'm just not getting enough iron. Also, making sure you're getting enough oxygen, because the area of the brain that has to do with all this stuff, it doesn't have a real good oxygen supply. So if there's any diminished oxygen to the body in general, your brain is not going to make dopamine as effectively as it should. So oxygen, so getting aerobic exercise. What else? Grapeseed extract is a good, grapeseed extract works similar to, and you might have heard of grapeseed extract as a beneficial brain nutrient. It's like almost like an antioxidant for your brain, so to speak. But it protects the cells of your brain. What it does for dopamine is it works kind of like the Ritalin or the Adderall in that it doesn't, it allows the dopamine to stay in the synaptic cleft longer, just like those drugs do. Theanine also helps increase dopamine release. Theanine is what's in green tea. And so there's also theanine supplements out there. So that's a possibility. The other big one, and probably even before I go to the other things, is making sure you have enough essential fatty acids in your brain, in your body, especially the DHA. When you look at fish oil, it says EPA, DHA. The DHA is important in your brain for neurotransmitter function because it helps the neurotransmitters actually bind to the postsynaptic receptors. So and that helps with everything. That helps with serotonin. It helps with everything in your body works better, and in your brain works better if you've got more DHA. So I recommend basically, kiddos take 1,000 milligrams of EPA DHA. It's something that's got like 500 EPA, 500 DHA, at least one a day, and you could probably go up even more than that. But again, always talk to your doctor about this, because but your traditional medical doctor may not know anything about this. You may have to go to a naturopath, chiropractor, or a osteopath, or an integrative medical specialist. Because unfortunately, the traditional model isn't up on how nutrients can actually benefit us because of the mass pharmaceutical sales pressure that they get, and that's kind of where they're getting their information. Most people, or most docs. What else? Making sure of iron, allergies. If they're sleep disturbance, are they kicking at night? Are they agitated at night? Are they getting good sleep? If they're not getting good sleep, that's where you focus. Making sure that allergies are under control. And again, that comes back down to making sure you get rid of any of the potentially offending foods. And usually it's wheat and dairy right off the top. And that can be challenging, but you really need to stay the course with that as much as possible, and get a good month worth of no wheat and no dairy. And I know that's challenging, and I know that's a whole family issue. So it's like the whole family has to come together and pull up the no dairy, no gluten diet, and start working with it, because it's really, you got to get rid of the potential allergens. And if you do allergy testing, there's a test called the ALCAT test, which does a really good job of picking up not only overt allergies, like the ones where your lip swells up, but also actually it doesn't pick up the IgA or IgG mediated allergies. It picks up basically just how much your white blood cells react whenever you're exposed to a certain nutrient. Basically, they take your blood, and they take however many, they'll take like 100, 150, 200, whichever panel you get, and they'll take your blood and they'll put it in a test tube with the different allergens. They'll put, wheat in that one, they'll put dairy in that one, they'll put something, and then they measure it and they see what kind of wave your white blood cells make whenever the blood is exposed to it, and that kind of tells you what your immune system is doing, because basically that blood in that tube is a holistic representation of you. So it still has, all the cells have the memory. Even though they're separated from you, they still have the memory of how your body works. So it's still a very powerful way to find out if you're sensitive to foods. So that's the ALCAT test. That's another possibility. Then you know for sure. You don't have to guess. But always, wheat and dairy, I always take out no matter what right off the top. What else? So if magnesium is another big one. And this means green food. Lots of green food. That's what makes food green, is the central ion of the chlorophyll molecule is magnesium. Magnesium also is kind of the nature's calmer. It doesn't allow glutamate, which is this excitatory neurotransmitter in your brain. It's like a bouncer at the door that doesn't let that excitatory neurotransmitter get your neurons all up in a huff. They keep it calm. It's like they say, whoa, and they buffer the overexcitability. So magnesium is another big piece of the puzzle. What else? I know this is a lot, but there's just some things to think about and focus on. Heavy metal testing, making sure you can do a screen, get the cut off the back of a hair. Great Smokies, or now it's called Genova Diagnostics. Genova Diagnostics. They'll do a hair analysis for like $50. If you just, I think you can just call them and request it. If not, get with your local practitioner to request that. And that'll give you a screen for mercury, lead, and all these heavy metals that can be messing with brain neurochemistry. Iron panel, focusing on tyrosine-rich foods, avocados, bananas, eggs. Eggs, meat, and dairy have tyrosine, but you can also get it from avocados and bananas if you want to focus on a more plant-based scenario. If you do get the animal-based products, always get local locally grown, grass-fed, make sure it's not a factory farmed animal off the shelf at Kroger's or whatever your grocery store is. That is a few ideas about ADHD and making dopamine work more effectively. I hope that helps. Hope that helps everybody. Those are all things to think about, especially it could be a slam dunk with iron. If it's an iron deficiency problem, you get your iron back up. Wow, now I can now I can make dopamine again. So sometimes if you can't make dopamine if you don't have oxygen and if you don't have iron. So, those are a few things. Actually, those are a lot of things, but you guys gotta have this information, and I'll be, it's just been a great course, and hopefully if you continue on with continuing education, I will be able to do more and more of this for you. See you next time.